Hi, this is Bill Stannard from the YES program. Welcome back to YES Online Learning. This is our third video in coding the P51 Bomber game. Let's get right to it, okay? We're inside the code of the P51, and what we want to add is some code that will let us, when we tap on the P51, it shoots a rocket, and we'll use that to shoot down the shuttle, which is playing the bad fighter. So I'm going to add some more code by clicking on the plus, and I'm going to go up to event, and the event we want to code with is when tapped. So I'm going to click on when tapped, and notice it tries to put itself above the forever. Well, I'm going to drag it down so it's below the end of loop and is floating down there, and you'll see there's a sort of a black area that keeps it from attaching to end of loop. And when we tap on the P51, we want it to do a couple of things. We want it to remember exactly where it is and send that message to the asteroid, which we've renamed Fireball, so that it seems to come from inside of the P51 and shoots out and shoots down the fighter plane. So I'm going to have to create what's known as a variable. A variable is just a container in computer code that keeps track of things. So I am going to get a variable, and I'm going to click on plus, and variables are considered data or data. And I'm going to click on that, and I am going to set a variable up at the top. Click it, drag it down under when tapped, and you see the word new under set variable. I'm going to click on new and click on new a second time, and I'm going to give this variable a name. So I'm going to click up there, and I'm going to call it POS for position X. Okay, so I'm going to type POS and then capital X, just so it's easier to read. So it's pause X. I'm going to click OK. And I want to set the position pause X to the actual X position of my P51 Mustang. So I'm going to click on the 1, and I am going to click on properties, and I'm going to click on position X. Okay, and click all right. So there we go. So we've set pause X to position X. I want to do the same thing for a variable called pause Y or position Y. So plus data set variable, drag it down, and I'm going to change its name here by clicking on pause X, and I'm going to click on new, and I'm going to call it POS capital Y for position Y. And I'm going to set it to, you guessed it, position Y. So I'm going to do that by going to properties and position Y. Okay, I'm now going to click OK. So I have now created two variables, position X and position Y, and I've set them. And in order to let the other sprites in the game know what's going on, I need to send out what's called a broadcast. And this is a way of letting the other sprites know that something has happened. So I'm going to click on plus for more code, and I'm going to send an event. So if I scroll down, I will see broadcast new message. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to drag it down. And what I want to broadcast is a message that says fire, meaning fire your cannon, fire your gun. So I'm going to click on new message and then new. And the message is going to be the word fire, F-I-R-E. There we go. So I'm going to broadcast fire. Okay, let's pause here. We've added enough code to kind of get us going. And the next thing we need to do is go to the bombers. Okay, to get to the bombers, I am going up to the top where it says P51, and I'm going to press that arrow, the one in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to press it again. And I'm now out where I can see all of my sprites, and I am going to go to Bomber 1. So I'm going to click on that and go in and look at the script. There's nothing there, so let's add something. We're going to have to add the same thing that we had for the P51, and that's when the scene starts. So let's click on the plus. That's an event when the scene starts. There we go. And you'll see for most of these games, every single group of code for each sprite will have this in there when the scene starts. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the size to about 60%. I think that'll be just about right, and then we'll take a look at it and see if that works. So I'm going to hit the plus sign, and that's looks, and I'm going to set the size, and I'm going to leave it right there at 60%. And I'm now going to press the go button and see if that's about the right size for my bomber. Okay, my bomber is kind of hidden behind all those other guys, so we may have to come back in a bit and check it out. So I hit back, and I'm going to bring in another forever block, because what I want to have happen is I want to place the bomber at a certain spot on the screen, and then I want to have it move. Okay, so I'm going to click plus. I want this to go on throughout the entire game, so that's a control forever. Okay, and I'm going to move that forever down below setting the size, and you see as soon as I let go of it, it gives me that second block, end of loop. So I'm going to first of all place the bomber somewhere on the screen. So I'm going to hit plus and then motion and place at. And I'm going to move that down and make sure you put it inside the forever loop. Now the very first one, I'm going to click on the 100 that's next to the X, and I'm going to edit the formula. And what I want it to do is put it at a random spot on the X-axis. I want to pick a random spot on the X-axis. So I know that's a function, so I'm going to click on functions, and I'm going to click on random value, which is just about in the middle. And I want it to be somewhere randomly from minus 360, and then there's a comma, and after that I'm going to back up and put in plus 360. I don't actually write the plus, I just type in 360. Now why did I pick those numbers? Because that's pretty much all the way from the left hand side of the screen to the right hand side of the screen. Minus 360 is on the left, plus 360 is on the right, and 0 is just about in the middle. And for the Y coordinate, I'm going to click on the Y, and I'm going to edit the formula. And for the Y, I'm going to put it down at minus 700. And why did I pick minus 700? Because that's all the way at the bottom of the screen on the y-axis. So I'm going to click OK. So that's where it's going to go to. All right. Now, that's not where it's going to go to. That's where it's going to start. Now I'm going to put in where it's going to go to. And that I'm going to use a motion called glide. So I'm going to click my plus, and it's a motion. And if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see I get to glide 1 second. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to click on that one. I'm going to drag it down and put it below the place at X. Make sure you put it below there. And what I want it to do is glide to the exact same position it's in on the X-axis. So I'm going to, where it says glide 1 second to X, I'm going to click on the X there, edit formula, and I'm going to put in the property of position X. Now, why do I want to do that? Well, what I want it to do is fly up the screen from where it is, but I don't want it to go to the right or to the left. So I'm going to have it stay in the same X position that it is in. Okay? But for the Y position, I want it to go to 700, which is off the screen all the way at the top. So I'm going to click on Y, and I'm going to type in 700. And you'll see in a moment how this works. Now, how long do I want it to take to get there? Right now, it'll only take 1 second, and that's really moving, because it's going to come from the bottom of the screen all the way to the top of the screen. I want it to take about 10 seconds. So I'm going to click on the 1 and put in 10. I'm now going to put in OK. All right, so let's see if that works. Let's go ahead and run the app at this point. And there it comes, up from the bottom. That's not a bad size. That's pretty good. You might want to make it a little bit bigger. And how would you make it a little? Oh, look at that. Once it's gone by and disappears off the top of the screen, it shows up at the bottom of the screen again in a slightly different position. Okay, there are my bombers. Okay, I've only got one of them though. Okay, so I'm going to stop this and I'm going to go back, and there is my code for the bomber. Okay, if I wanted to make it a little bit bigger, I could change that 60 to 70%. So I would just go there and click on it, change it to 70, click OK, and I'm going to check it again. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. I think I like it a little bit bigger like that. Good. So I'm now going to click the back button and the back button, and there I am with my code. And we're going to stop here, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.